So when we actually chant, we purify our mind. And the benefits of chanting is the meaning of the particular mantra is we are praying to Krishna, saying that please engage me in your service. And also the other meanings are we invite the Lord to our heart so that he can come and be part of our lives. So that's the meaning of the Maha Mantra. So we are inviting Krishna to be part of our lives and also to be part of the session so that we can gain maximum knowledge from whatever we are going to learn. All right. So let's also show our gratitude to all our spiritual masters and also to our teachers who have been instrumental for us in learning. So before we start the session, we always show the gratitude. So you can listen to this particular mantra. Om Ajnanatirandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we pray to our spiritual masters, we offer our obeisances to our spiritual masters, and then we proceed so that whatever we learn, we will be able to understand it in the right spirit. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. We'll be starting with some slides. Okay, so all of you can see my screen, I guess. Yeah, can
Yes.
you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, great. So, yep, I'm putting it to this slideshow mode now. Okay, so mindfulness. So we are here to understand more about our mind. For the next few sessions, 3, 4 sessions, we'll be trying to understand more about our mind. So what do you guys think our mind is? Anybody? Big guesses? What do you think? What is our mind? What do you think our mind is? What's the definition of mind? Who can give me a quick definition? Let's try to.
Thoughts and
Sorry, Sagar, we couldn't hear you.
thoughts
Our?
and feelings.
Okay, our heart and feelings. Okay. So let's hear from Jasmine. So what do you think? What is mind? Let's hear from all the new folks.
Like consciousness.
Okay, consciousness. So what is consciousness?
Like where you can think like what is wrong, what is right, and you can distinguish between that.
Okay, okay. So Katie, what do you think about what is the definition of mind?
It's a combination of sensory and motor activities, like, basically the transmission of impulses through our nerves, like neurons, to brains and central nervous system, which results in proper decision making, like understanding the difference between what's happening and what's not. So identifying between the reality and the imaginary. So all those kind of things are basically the outcome of, like basically the functions of mind.
Functions of mind. Okay, okay. All right. So let's see what Bhagavad Gita says. What is our mind? So basically, there are 3 particular terminologies. Okay, that is something called as body, there is something called as mind, and there is something called as soul. So the understanding from Bhagavad Gita is we are spirit souls who are stuck inside this particular material body. So we are spirit souls having a material experience. So that is the right understanding we have from Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So when we say we are spirit souls and we are having a material experience, so how are we going to, kind of relate this to our daily lives? So what Bhagavad Gita says is, so we take different bodies. Okay, so this is what chapter 2, text 12 says. So, what chapter 2, text 12 says is, as the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So, what we can understand from this, what Gita says is, at the time of death, this particular soul leaves this particular body and then takes another body. So, we all have taken millions of bodies in the past before taking this human form of life. So, that is the understanding we get from Bhagavad Gita. So, even if you see from our childhood until now, you as a person, say for example, whatever your name is, so that name doesn't change. But if you see, you have taken different forms of bodies. If you can take your childhood photos, and then you can actually see when you were 5 years old, you had a particular body. But when you are 10 years old or 15 years old, you have a different body. The body keeps changing. Even modern science says that all the cells in your body, it regenerates. Every 7 years, the old cell dies and the new cell starts producing every 7 years. So that's not an overnight process, it's a gradual process. So we can clearly see that we are not this particular body. And again, this body keeps getting old. And after a few years, this body again changes. And eventually, this body becomes deceased. And when somebody dies, people say that, okay, he passed away. So where did he go? His body is right here. So who passed away? The soul passed away. So that's the correct understanding. So we are not this particular body. So we are the eternal spirit souls. So then what actually is mind? So we are not this, your body keeps changing at the same time. Your mind as well keeps changing, right? You keep changing your mind every now and then. So the correct understanding of mind is, so if you see this particular picture, there is something called as our gross body. It is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So that is the particular body in which you are residing in which the soul is actually residing in. And if you see in between the soul and the gross body, there is something called as a subtle body. So your subtle body is not your brain. Okay. So it's something which carries your soul after the soul leaves this particular body. Now, say for example, your mind, intelligence, and false ego is called as your subtle body. So at the time of death, depending on what is your mind thinking, whatever desires you have, according to that desire, your soul takes another body. Say, for example, at the time of death, if you think about a particular animal, then your soul takes the next body as a particular animal. So if you think at the time of death about your mom or dad or any of your relatives, then you will be given that position of being that particular person in the next life in a different form, in a different body. So we all know that we are spirit souls having a human experience. So under this particular earth, there are 7 hellish planets. And according to your desires or whatever good or bad you do in this particular life, you go above the earth in the 7 planets or below the earth in the 7 hellish planets. Above the earth, there are 7 heavenly planets. Okay. So there are millions of universes. We are in one universe inside one particular planet. So inside one universe, there are multiple planets. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, there are multiple universes. So how do we come out of this repeated cycle of birth and death? So what Krishna says is, at the time of death, if we remember Krishna, then we will stop taking birth again and again in different bodies, and we will all be sent to the spiritual world. Okay, in spiritual world, and according to whatever is the desire, how you want to worship God or how you want to worship Krishna, you will be sent according to. There are millions of spiritual worlds as well. So there we don't have any death. So that's what the soul, the property of the soul is: eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So we will be full of knowledge, we will be fully happy, and we will be eternally in our spiritual bodies. So we won't have to go through this cycle of birth and death. So that is the understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So any questions here before we start delving into the
Yeah, I got a question. So I'm just wondering, like, as soon as person dies, and then there is a function going on for 13 days, and then like after how many days of days, that soul is entering into the another body. And I'm also wondering, like, if someone is entering in the mother's womb, then I think it's around 3 months or something. Baby is like baby, the heart is developed inside the baby, and that's when they moving kind of around in the womb. So that's when the soul is entering in the in that body.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So what our Puranas say is, so when you move from point A to point B, right? Say, for example, in a country, now you travel from Australia to US. So in between, you will have transit stops, right? You will have transit airport locations. So before the soul moves from one body to another body, there are places of transit, right? It's called as Pitruloka. So for the soul to get a better form of body, so we do all these last rites on the 13 days. So after that 13 days, so until that 13 days, the soul is supposed to be in transit. So say for example, we might have done so many bad things in our life, but at the same time, you might have done some good also. So if we don't perform that last rites, then the chances of the soul taking body according to your bad deeds, if your say your karma is like a bank account, okay, it's like a debit and credit. So if you do good karma, your credit will increase. If you do bad karma, your debit will increase. And sometimes, knowingly or unknowingly, we would have accumulated so much of bad karma. So by performing this last rites in that 13 days, we can make sure that the soul again gets at least a bare minimum human form of life rather than the bad karma taking over. And there are chances that the soul can get liberated as well if we do that last rites. So that's what our Purana says. So now you may have this particular question. So why are we doing the death ceremony anniversaries, right, for all our ancestors on a yearly basis? So what our Shastras say is, we don't know whether our ancestors are stuck in Pitraloka or that's a transit place. So what happens is Yamadharmaraj, he comes to Pitraloka and you'll be in a waiting list. And accordingly, depending on he will evaluate your karma, sometimes it is automatic or sometimes he comes and manually evaluates it. So depending on whatever your karma is, you'll be given another form of body. So now we don't know how long our ancestors are waiting there or whether they have actually got liberated and they went to the spiritual world. So that's why, to be on the safer side, we all perform all that last rites, the first 13 days, and also for our ancestors to make sure that if at all they are in Pitraloka still in the waiting list, whatever pujas or ceremonies we do, it will help them either get liberated or get another form of birth. Okay, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. So anybody, people who have joined newly, do you have any questions before we move forward? So what is the soul? What happens after death? How we take on different bodies? What is actually our body? So we are spirit, soul. So these are the basics. I'm just touching upon this so that we have a quick refresher about who we actually are. So we are eternal spirit souls and we are part and parcels of Krishna. So we are having a human experience inside this particular body. And that is because we made a choice to be away from Krishna, away from God. So that is how we understand this particular world. That's what the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So now let's understand more about yes.
Sorry. So it says that the purpose that you are sent to the whatever the purpose one is sent to be fulfilled in this earth. Is it true that if they can't fulfill that purpose in one lifetime, is it true that they will reincarnate, or like they will have another forms of life to fulfill that purpose?
Yes. So basically, as humans, everybody has only one purpose. Okay. The purpose is to know who you actually are. We are not this particular body. As you see in this diagram, the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Okay. So we need to understand who we actually are. We are inside this particular body, which keeps changing. And we are not this particular body. So we are eternal spirit souls. And we need to understand who God is. Okay. And how we build our relationship with God. Depending on that, we will be elevated to different spiritual planets. So until we establish that particular relationship, or until we understand who God is actually, then we will be taking multiple births. We will be getting reincarnated again and again. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's move forward. So when we actually try to focus, something obstructs us. Say, for example, how many of you have this particular experience? You want to get out of the bed, but okay, I want to sleep for another 5 minutes in the morning. Every time you keep an alarm, you snooze. And you keep an alarm at 6:30, you snooze it, and you try to get up at 7:30. Or you'll be lying down somewhere. You want to actually go get up, take that particular cell phone from the table, or you'll be like, oh, I'm too tired. Can somebody get it for me? So that is exactly your mind. Okay. So a mind is also something which is stopping us from focusing, which is actually distracting us. So, the ability to focus for a longer period of time. Some people will be able to focus a lot better. Some people may not be able to focus a lot better. So, what is the difference? People who are able to have a better control of their particular mind. Okay. So, that is how, sometimes we all come to the conclusion that we are this particular mind. So our mind keeps changing, right? Like the soul is in this body, and this body keeps changing from your childhood until you die. But who we actually are, and our mind also keeps changing. Whatever you may be thinking that you may be wanting to do something today, but tomorrow your mind will change. You will have different desires. Today you will like one particular mobile phone, but tomorrow you will want to have a different mobile phone. So your mind also keeps changing. It keeps changing. So we are not this particular body, and we are not this particular mind. But sometimes without the right knowledge, or without the right understanding of what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we confuse ourselves with our mind, right? So some people think that our mind is our brain, so which is actually not the case. Your brain just sends signals depending on what you think to your eyes, nose, hands, and legs. Your mind can do thinking, your mind can do a feeling, your mind can do, you know, take decisions, yes or no. Depending on whatever your mind decides, your brain sends that particular signals to your body to make actions through that particular body. Yes, Katie, what's your question?
Yeah. So, could you help understand, like, we think we are this mind. What does this exactly mean? This seems to be a little difficult of a
Yeah.
concept.
In the subsequent slides, we'll have more details. There'll be more diagrams for you to see and understand what exactly you're saying, that okay, we are not this particular mind. Okay, so for now you need to understand that we are made of these 5 elements: earth, water, fire, and ether. That is this particular body. Okay, even your brain is matter. Your mind is something which is subtle. Subtle means which you actually cannot see. Okay, so we will see what is mind, what is intelligence, what is false ego in the same slide. Okay, so now if you see this particular diagram, this will answer your question. So what Bhagavad Gita teaches is, if you see this particular person who is actually holding the ropes, right? This is the chariot driver, And that person is nothing but your intelligence. Okay, this picture is from one of the Upanishads, which is called as the Katha Upanishad. And the rope which that person is holding, that is your mind. Okay, and the horses are your sense objects. You see, eyes, nose. You can see the diagram, right? You can see eyes, you can see nose, you can see ears, hands, your tongue. So sense of sight, sense of smell, sense of hearing, sense of touch, and sense of taste. Okay, 5 senses and 5 sense objects. So the horses represent your sense objects. And the chariot is nothing but your body. Okay, your actual body in which you are living in, that is your chariot. And the soul is the passenger sitting in the back. Do you see that? Who's sitting back? Right? The soul is nothing but the passenger. So, what the Bhagavad Gita says, if your intelligence about this particular world is not completely perfect, which means you will not be able to control your mind and the horses will not be going in the right direction. Okay, so the soul will be sitting inside the chariot. Okay, and the intelligence is completely confused. You think you are this particular mind, or you think the whole life is meant for enjoyment. If you don't understand the actual purpose of life, then you won't be able to steer the body through your senses, hands, legs, eyes, nose. You won't be able to steer your body through the mind in the right direction, right? If you don't know the purpose of life, then if you don't have that spiritual intelligence to understand that, okay, I am not this particular body and I have rented this particular body. So what Bhagavad Gita says is, we are given this body depending on whatever desires we had in our past lives. We are not the owners of this body, right? So anytime if you are renting a house or an apartment, the rental agency or the owner can come and say, please vacate the house. Similarly, we all have to vacate this body after a certain amount of time. Death is coming. The body will get diseased. We will all become old. At some point in time, we will have to give up this body. And according to whatever desires, how much ever we have purified our mind, right? So there is something called as mind. There is something called as intelligence. So how much we are purifying these two, understanding who you actually are, who is God, what is the relationship between Atma, yourself, and Paramatma, Krishna, what is the relationship? And after knowing what is the relationship, you have to establish the particular relationship, right? You have to express that love. Say, for example, we all, how relationship work between two people in this particular world. Say, for example, you and your kid, right? You can always say that, I love my kid, but will your kid be happy just by saying that I love my kid, I love my kid, I love my kid? No, you have to express that relationship. So similarly, what we are doing by chanting or by visiting temples or by making donations, we are expressing our love for Krishna. So we are the Atma and Krishna is the Paramatma. We are souls and Krishna is super souls. And through the process of practicing bhakti yoga, yoga means connections. Okay. And bhakti yoga is connecting with Krishna. So by practicing bhakti, we are expressing our love for Krishna. So depending on how you want to love Krishna, right? Krishna, you can love God in different ways. You can love God as a servant or as a friend or as a parent, or you can, be his lover. Okay, in different moods, you can actually cultivate love for Krishna. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So depending on whatever mood you cultivate, accordingly, you will be sent to those spiritual planets so that you can enjoy with Krishna. So the nature of the soul is to enjoy. Okay, so we all want happiness. We all are chasing for happiness. But the point is, we are putting all happiness on the material objects around us, which is temporary. That is why you experience happiness for a certain amount of time. and after that you become sad. So it's like a wave up and down, right? So the way the world is structured is to experience so much pain and little pleasure, but we keep chasing for that little pleasure throughout our life from morning to evening. So the knowledge what we have is for maintaining this particular body, okay? But we are not having enough adequate knowledge to maintain the soul. This body is temporary. You have to give up this body after certain number of years. So that's the teachings between Arjuna. What the conversation with Krishna is having to Arjuna is about giving him this particular knowledge to understand what is the actual purpose of human form of life. If you have taken human form of body, somebody mentioned that yes, we will have the discriminating power. We will know what is right and we will know what is wrong. Yes, you are able to have that discriminative power because you are a human being. Now, what are you doing with that particular knowledge? Right. So, this purpose of life is not for us to completely enjoy wealth or fame or maintain your body, going to gym and all of that. The particular of life, human life, is to understand what is Jiva, what is Atma, who we are. So, we are the soul. So, that is where, by understanding this particular element, that is how your life actually starts. The moment you realize this, you are eternal spirit soul. You are stuck in this material body. This body has been given to you depending on whatever was your desire in the previous life. So if you wanted to kill people or if you wanted to eat meat, accordingly, you will be given animal form of life. Tigers, lions. So there are what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, you have 8.4 million species, and we have taken before coming to this human form of life, and there are like 400,000 human forms in different planets, in different universes. So before having this particular human form of life where we can understand, use our consciousness, we can train our consciousness to understand the spiritual aspect of life. Before this we have taken all the other forms of birth. That's what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So human form of life, it is meant to be understood and it is meant to be utilized properly, understanding the actual purpose of life. Okay, so any questions so far until we move on to the next slide? So the next slide, we will see a bit more in detail on the subtle body. So far, are you able to understand, okay, what is soul? What is intelligence? What is the mind? What are the senses? And what is our body? So are we clear with these five elements? Are we clear
Yeah.
with this?
I just want to share my one of the experience. Like whenever I go to temple, I just like get goosebumps.
Yeah, we'll come to that. So let's stick to the topic. So for any
Okay.
discussions, any questions on this particular topic?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about the intelligence? Because it seems like both are similar, intelligence and mind.
Yeah, we will see that the subtle body in the next slide.
Oh, okay, no worries.
Right. Yeah. So Nabia, I'll come to your question. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you see, understanding a particular mind, so this is what we understand from Bhagavad Gita. So we have the soul and we have the subtle body, okay, and we have our actual body, which is our gross body. Subtle means something which we cannot see, and gross means something which we can see. We can see our hands, leg, eyes, and everything, right? That is our gross body. And subtle body is your mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay, this false. So, say for example, the soul is actually powered by your consciousness. The consciousness is the symptom of the soul. The definition of consciousness, you are able to now be aware, right? When someone says people is in coma, and but they can still hear you, which means the consciousness has still not left the body, and the brain is just not functioning. Okay. So your brain sends signals to your hands, legs, and bodies for particular movement depending on what your mind thinks. So your mind is actually the most important part of your subtle body. Okay. So now your intelligence. So intelligence is used, if you see the previous diagram, if you see this, your intelligence, this particular person, the chariot driver is the intelligence. Your intelligence is used to steer your mind, right? It's used to actually pull your sense objects from going into a wrong direction. Now, say you're driving a car, okay? You're using the steering. Who's using the steering? Actually, the driver. You're going in an Uber. Your Uber driver is using the steering. Your steering is the mind. The Uber driver is intelligent enough to steer the wheel to make sure that the car goes in the proper direction. And you will, aram se, sit back behind in the back seat and come. Right? So your intelligence, so far, we have been given intelligence or this material knowledge to maintain this particular body. The fact that we have taken birth in this particular world, which means we have to maintain this particular body. You have to follow some duties. You have to do your duties to maintain this particular body. But at the same time, you need to understand what is the actual purpose, what is the soul, and take the soul towards its proper journey. Okay, so maintaining the body, we should not forget to maintain the soul. Okay, yes, Katie, what's your question?
Maybe a little too many questions today from my side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wanted to understand, like when we say that intelligence is the driver of mind, so generally we know that Krishna is the doer. So whatever we do, so Krishna, like basically either whatever is done, basically whatever we do, either we get nimittas who do it for Krishna, or like Krishna sends messages directly by our intelligence. So my question is that so who is the driver? Is Parthasarthi the Sarthi, or is intelligence the Sarthi?
So we'll see that in the upcoming slide. I have that last class slide in this class also, right? So with your intelligence, we actually desire that I want this, I want that, right? So that particular desire, whether that desire is according to what your soul desires. So now that we saw this body is temporary, the nature of the soul is to be happy. We all want to be happy permanently, but we don't know how. We think that, okay, making this much amount of money is going to make me happy, or being with somebody is going to make me happy, or buying this house or land or car is going to make me happy, but everything lasts only for a certain amount of time. So how can we be eternally happy? Right? So the nature of the soul is to be happy. So if our desires are not aligned with the actual purpose of life, that is when your happiness gets disturbed. So now, if only you have the right intelligence, you will be able to desire what actually is beneficial for a human form of life. So if you desire to make more wealth, then accordingly, if you desire to enjoy wealth, then accordingly, you will be sent to different planets to fulfill your desires. So using your intelligence, you purify your desires. Okay?
Yeah, understood. So, are you trying to convey here that everybody's soul seeking happiness is, essentially everybody's soul has the same purpose, or like is aimed to just seek happiness? Is that the purpose of everyone? But then the
That is the
intelligence,
nature of the soul.
so
Not
anybody's
the
soul.
purpose. Yes, the nature of the soul is to find happiness. Who doesn't want to be happy? An animal wants to be happy.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to be happy. Okay, everybody wants to be only happy. Nobody wants to be sad. I don't want to be sad. But the fact that I've taken birth, I have to go through natural calamities. I have to go through various diseases which my body takes me in. Okay, I have to go through experiences which mistakes of others, I'll have to face the mistakes of others. So there are three things which everybody has to go through. The desires or the problems which is arising out of your own mind and body, or the problems which is coming from other people, or the problems which is happening naturally by earthquakes or floods. Nobody can avoid. So nobody is actually happy 100% of the time. So now how can somebody be happy 100% of the time? So you need to think beyond this material world. That's what Krishna is trying to explain in Bhagavad Gita. So this whole world is designed to be happy temporarily only. The whole world is actually temporary. So after certain number of years, Krishna says in Gita, the whole world is destroyed and it is again recreated. And then we'll again be back into this world to fulfill our desires. So now how are we being desireless is not a question. So how are we going to purify our desires is the most important part. Okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, any question? All right, so let me come back to the slideshow. Okay, so what Bhagavad Gita says is your consciousness, which is actually the symptom of the presence of the soul, right? That is the energy of the soul that passes through your body. Okay, it flows through your subtle body. It uses your mind, intelligence, and false ego, and that is how it interacts with your body. So now, if your consciousness, if your mind is not pure enough, then we will have all negative thoughts or negative desires. Okay, I want to drink, I want to enjoy, I want to enjoy different men, or I want to enjoy different women. I want to keep drinking, I want to do drugs, and I want to earn so much amount of money. So all this independent, being happy independently. Okay, all these type of desires will come in. So what Krishna says is our consciousness or our subtle body, after acquiring so many amount of births, our subtle body is actually contaminated. Okay, what happened? Why is it? Okay, yeah. So our subtle body is actually contaminated. So our mind is contaminated. Our intelligence is contaminated. So our false ego is contaminated. So now going to the next slide, how we understand this particular world. So now we have this body and we have this mind, we have this soul, right? So now say for example your body, this is another example to help us understand more exactly what is mind. So imagine your body is like the hardware, okay, and the soul, the Atma, is the user of this particular body. Okay, so you have an iPhone and you are using that particular phone. Without any software, you cannot use that phone, right? So your mind is like the software. Now the software can be corrupt. It can have virus, and if the software is not programmed properly, then the experience what the user has with that particular machine or the hardware will not be appropriate. So if your mind is not pure enough, then the soul will not be able to experience what is the real happiness. So now we think all this happiness is present in all these particular objects. Okay, I'll tell you one story. Now you'll be able to relate to it. So there was an experiment done by a Russian scientist. He trapped a mouse in a particular cage. Okay, and he put two holes in that cage. In one hole, he kept bread, and in the other hole, he kept a small electrode. So if the mouse touches the electrode, it will get a shock. So now what the mouse does is it goes to the hole where the electrode is there. That is the right hole. It goes to the right hole, it touches that, it gets a shock. Now it goes to the left hole. It gets the bread. So it always goes to the left hole to get the bread. Now I interchange the hole. Okay, the scientist interchanged the hole. Now the mouse goes to the left hole, it started getting a shock. So it unlearned whatever it learned and it started going to the right hole to get the bread. Again, when the scientists kept on interchanging, the mouse again kept on unlearning and again learning. Okay, now at some point in time, the mouse actually understood that, okay, I have to now not think about getting out of this particular cage. I need to find out where the bread is. And I have to eat and I have to be happy. Now, when the scientist opened the cage, the mouse didn't want to come out of the cage. It understood that that particular cage is its whole world. So after millions of births and births and births, we as the soul, we think this particular life is just for enjoyment. So that is how our mind is trained to think after so much of experiences from the previous life. Yes, so your mind actually has so many impressions. Now say that you are having a particular desert, okay? And you want to enjoy that particular desert. So the first time you have that particular desert, you know, okay, it is tasting good. So your mind will leave an impression. Now, what drives you to eat that particular dessert the next time is nothing but the impression which your mind has created. Okay? So if you come back, if you go back to the previous slide, right? So using your intelligence, you will think that, okay, this is driven by your impression. And now you might have accumulated impression from this birth, or you might have accumulated from previous birth. So depending on whatever impressions you are accumulating, your intelligence will drive your mind. That is what we saw in this particular diagram. Okay, so this intelligence acts or it drives your mind depending on various impressions you have accumulated in this birth or previous birth. Okay, so now if you see this particular diagram, so with whatever is your intelligence and whatever is your understanding of life, depending on that, you will make decisions and you will function with your body. So this is what Krishna is trying to explain to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So this is another understanding. This is another simple real world understanding of what exactly is your body, mind, and soul. So our body and mind is the instrument through which our consciousness understands and acts in this particular world. So the energy of the soul flows through this mind to the body, right? So now you take a light, okay? You take a white light, okay? And you keep a white paper. So the light passing through that particular paper will actually be white, right? But if the paper is fully colored, if it's contaminated with dirt, then the light passing through will also reflect dirty. So now if our mind is not pure, then we will try to identify ourselves with this particular body, right? We won't understand that we are part and parcel of Krishna. So we will try to identify ourselves with this particular body. And we will think that, okay, I am this particular body now. I need to be happy. This is my family. This is my house. This is my money. I live in this particular world. This is mine. That is mine. I am this. I am that. I want to be happy. So we get confused. Okay. So any question? So this particular example will help you understand. So we saw this in our previous class, right? So after this, I'll go to the next slide. So this should have come before. So now if you see, this is exactly what we spoke about, right? So as soul, we desire. We desire based on our impressions. So your mind is like a camera, okay? Whatever you see, it will take a snapshot and it will store and keep. Now, say for example, now if I listen to a particular, if I come across a particular song I've listened 15 years back, okay? So if I think of a song which I used to listen during my college, I haven't heard that song for 15, 20 years. So this is how my mind will behave. Now, this will give you an understanding of what impressions are. Okay, so some song runs in the background. So immediately after a long time, I'm listening to that particular song, I'll start thinking, oh wow, this song is from this movie. This is the year in which the movie has released. And I used to listen to this song throughout my bus when I go to college and when I used to drive bike and when I'm in this particular mood and this is what happened in this particular movie. And then, okay, what I was doing in my life at that point in time, with whom I used to listen that song the most. Everything I'll start thinking. Automatically, your mind will start overflowing with all that particular thoughts. Where is that coming from? That is because of my experiences and my impressions which I have accumulated from the past. So, if you are creating any new desire that, okay, I want this, I want that, that is depending on whatever impressions you have created with your life experiences in this particular life or in any of the previous lives, right? So your mind makes us act based on our desires through our sense objects. Okay, so the soul, we as soul living in this particular body, depending on whatever is our level of intelligence, we make a desire with our mind. Okay, and what drives the mind is your intelligence, and your intelligence acts depending on the impressions. Okay, so your mind has created so many impressions. It keeps creating new impressions. It keeps creating new snapshots depending on what you see. And how are these impressions created? Through novels, the books you read, through the movies you watch, and through your upbringing, the people you mingle with, or whatever happened in your previous lives. Now you have accumulated so much of impressions. Accordingly, your mind will function. So now things what happened in previous life, if that impressions are still strong, now we will tend, some people will tend to incline towards a certain set of activities throughout their life. Some people will like doing a lot of business throughout their life. Some people will like doing work. Some people will like playing sports. Some people will like, not doing anything and just enjoy with alcohol and cigarettes and drugs. Or some people will like taking care of other people. That is because natural inclination, it comes from whatever impressions you have acquired in your previous life or in your previous births. Okay, so now according to that impression, you think, you feel, and you are willing to do something that is called as desires. So this is coming from your mind. So the soul desires through the mind. Okay, and how can you know if that particular desire is beneficial for human form of life or not? That depends on your intelligence. So what actually is intelligence? X amount of money in your bank account. What you do for that is actually not intelligence. Intelligence is knowing, who am I? What am I doing in this body? What is this world made of? Who controls this particular world? Why am I suffering in this particular world? Why I have to go through death? How can I come out of this cycle? That is intelligence. So what we are talking here about, what we are talking about here is spiritual intelligence. The intelligence which helps us perform our day-to-day activities is for maintaining this particular body. Everybody has to do that. But the only actual intelligent person will inquire, what is the purpose of life? Why am I born? So when I am born, I am crying. Everybody around me is laughing, right? A baby cries only when it goes through severe pain. So what is that pain that makes me cry? Very simple question. Have you ever thought about this? That's the pain of separation, which the jiva goes through, when it is entering into a womb. That we don't want, we choose not to be with Krishna, and this pain which we went through in our previous life, and again that gets carried away to your next life. So until we purify our mind and intelligence and understand who we actually are, what is this world made up of, why is this world designed, we will not be able to get out of the cycle of birth and death. So the impressions, this is how it is created. In this particular life, how we acquire impressions is through the people whom we meet. Whomever people we meet, we get the impressions from them. We get an understanding of life, and through our upbringing, in whatever way our parents have brought us up, and through our past life, whatever you have accumulated, that is not your subtle body gets carried, right? Your gross body is destroyed, your actual body is burnt, but your subtle body, your mind, intelligence, and your false ego and the impression. What is false ego? That is you identifying yourself with your desires, you identifying yourself with your mind. That is false ego. What is real ego? Identifying yourself that I am part and parcel of Krishna. This human form of life is meant for purification. I need to understand who am I, what am I doing in this world, who is God, how do I establish my relationship with God. That means when you are clear with your identity of who you are, then you are situated in real ego. Everybody has ego. Now, when somebody says, okay, this person hurt my ego, that is nothing but your false ego. Okay, so these are basic fundamental terminologies which we need to understand. So now if I am confused, which means I have so much of false ego, then my desires will not be pure, right? I desire something. So now the way this world is designed is Krishna has designed this world for fulfilling our desires. Nobody is stopping us from doing whatever we are doing currently. So the Lord fulfills. And we actually misidentify with our body, and we subject ourselves to temporary happiness and sadness. Now, whoever bought property during COVID in Australia, they were so happy. Government is giving me 50%, $50,000 grant, and I'm getting an interest of 1.5 percentage. Oh wow! I went outside Sydney and I bought a house for $1 to $1.5 million because interest rate is low. And I'm staying outside of Sydney. I'm like, okay, fine, perfect. Now interest rate is climbed up to 7%. Everybody is paying $1,000 to $1,500 extra in EMI. And people whoever have settled outside of Sydney now, all the companies are asking them to come to work 2 times a week. Now they have to do so much of travel. So whatever happiness or whatever sadness you get is temporary. At the same time, somebody becomes sad for some reason. I lost so much of money during COVID, around $100,000 personally. Now I was sad for 6 months, and after that, I made that money in 1 year. Now that sadness has gone away. So this happiness and sadness in this particular world are just like summer and winter seasons. It comes, it lasts for a certain amount of time, and then it fades away. So that is how we'll have to actual understanding of this world, which Krishna says to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. So not everything, if you see this diagram in the right hand side, not everything is because of us, right? In this, we think that, okay, I am actually doing this. You are being driven by your impressions from many births. You may not even know why you did something in this particular life. Some impression from your previous life might have been driving you, or you might have acquired that impression from somebody else. That may not be your own self. Now, accordingly, whatever you are desiring, this world, material world, the actual god of material, this material manifestation is Durga Devi. So, Durga Devi, if your desires are actually valid, that will be validated by Krishna, and then she will actually make arrangements for you to fulfill your desire. Now, if you want to make so much money, and if there is actually that much amount of effort from your side, you cannot simply desire for money and sit simply. You desire and you act strongly to fulfill that particular desire, then arrangements will be made. So it is not only because of you something is happening. That is the understanding. We just desire. and that may be influencing from so many things. So are we aware of this? That is why during our childhood, our parents say, don't go here, don't go there, don't mingle with him, though he is a bad guy, he's a good guy. We keep hearing so many things. This is good, this is bad, and that is for our protection. But very, very simple. If we have been taught Bhagavad Gita, then life would have been very, very simple. Okay? So now I'll go to the previous slide so that we can understand it more about what exactly mind is. So mind can trouble us in 4 ways. So now that we understand what is soul, what is consciousness, I'll go one slide back. Okay, now that we understand what is soul, what is consciousness, what is mind, what is intelligence, what is ego, what is this body, and what is this particular world. Okay, now our mind, these are the properties of mind which can trouble us. It can trouble us in 4 ways. There are many ways, but I've given 4 ways according to MIND. Mind actually magnifies a particular problem. Now, say when you are stuck with something, okay, when you are stuck with a particular thing, your mind makes you glue yourself to that particular thought. You identify yourself with that particular thought or that particular situation. It makes you feel depressed and it completely drains your energy because you would be thinking about something which is actually not at all useful for you in your life. It might either be past or it might be future. That will not be something which is actually significant in your present life. Your present life, whatever happens, life has to move on because the ultimate purpose of life is defined by Krishna and Bhagavad Gita. And this happiness and sadness are like summer and winter seasons. They come and they go. They last for a certain amount of time. Nobody can be 100% fully happy from the time they are born until death. At the same time, nobody can be fully sad from the time they are born until death. There will be moment of happiness, there will be moment of sadness in everybody's life. If somebody is saying that I'm always happy, that means that person is foolish. So we must not become over conscious about our problem. We should not be problem conscious. We should be Krishna conscious. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna in Mahabharata or in Bhagavad Gita. So when our problems come in front of us, rather than seeing how big the problem is, we should show the problem how big Krishna is. So when we understand our real identity, and then when we are meditating and expressing our love for Krishna to connect with Super Soul, to connect with Paramatma through Bhakti Yoga, through the process of mantra meditation, when we are expressing our love, why did we chant? I said the meaning of chanting is we are inviting Krishna to come and be present in our lives, right? We are trying to express our love so that He can come and make our life easy. So we are spending that time with Him. Now it is His responsibility as well to give that amount of time or that amount of energy for us to spend that particular time with Him. Now, how a relationship works between two people, right? Like if you ever want to love somebody in this world, you will do all SMS texting and then you do dating and then you get married and then you get to know each other. Similarly, chanting is like talking to Krishna, right? And going to temple is like dating Krishna, expressing your love for Krishna, going to temple, making donations, or doing aarti in your home, or doing puja in your home. So this is how a relationship is built between two people. Ultimately, Krishna is also a person. It is just that our mind, intelligence, or our consciousness is not purified to see Krishna. The moment you are 100% pure, you will actually see the form of Krishna, which is mentioned in the Puranas or in the Vedas. So now the process of purification is what we are talking about. That is the mantra meditation. For this particular age, Kali Yuga, it comes from Kali Santarana Upanishad, chanting of mantras is the only process to purify your mind. Modern science has given solutions to calm your mind. They haven't given solutions to purify your mind. Okay? So what is I? It imagines pleasure. That we said, right? We saw the example of the mouse, electrode, and the bread. It imagines pleasure. It's saying the seeking pleasure is the ultimate goal of life. Being happy is the ultimate goal of life. It starts, going on two different holes to hunt where the bread is. When I open the cage, the mouse completely forgets that and I was put in this cage in the first place. Now I'm trying to seek the happiness from this particular world. Why did I come here in the first place? I completely forget that. I start living, I start studying something, I start doing some job, I start marrying and I start living. But ultimately, why was I born? Right? We are just being pushed into a particular template. Yes, that template is good for you to maintain your body, but you are not this body. You are a spirit soul having a human experience. You are tenants inside this body. You are not the owners of this body. This body is being given to you depending on what your desires were in your previous life. Right? So without that, we'll be having an ice cream and we'll start keeping licking that ice cream, saying that okay, the ice cream is going to melt. We completely forget, right? So we keep hunting for pleasures and we want to keep multiplying our pleasures. That is how our mind makes us think, right? And then it neglects opportunities. So it won't let you stay in the present. You either go to past or you either go to future. It will not let you enjoy what is present. Your mind is like a pendulum. It keeps going this extreme or it keeps going the other extreme. It will not let you actually think and act. Okay? And the last is it denies realities. Okay, God does not exist. Right? I am this body, I am this husband or I am this wife. I am, chanting is very, very hard. Practicing bhakti yoga is very hard. That's meant for retirement. I won't be able to do this. That's okay. I'll put everything aside and I'll continue to enjoy. But anybody who has, you know, the understanding of Bhagavad Gita, they will know the importance of what actually we are talking about happiness. What is the soul? We are talking about happiness of the soul. We can still be happy by doing our daily duties, daily responsibilities, but at the same time, we are not ignoring the journey of the soul. Imagine the driver, the passenger sitting behind, right? Right now, we are taking care of the chariot and we are driving with our intelligence, but we forget the passenger, the soul which is sitting in the body. So we have to nourish that particular soul. Only if you understand who you are and what is your actual nature, only then you'll be able to nourish your particular soul. Okay? So now moving on. Yeah, we saw this particular slide. What are impressions? Okay. Yes. With this, we conclude today's session and I will open up for questions. Yes. Any questions?
I have one question, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
This subtle body, it will transfer to all the body. Like after the person die, it will transfer to all the body whatever he gets. Suppose he becomes a tiger, so the subtle body will be same on that tiger, or it will be
So
different.
if I have the desire to actually hunt and eat animals, then I will get a body of a tiger. So at the time of death, whatever I think, whatever is my desire, according to that, calculation runs and you will automatically get the next body.
And that mind, intelligence, false ego, it will be same on the tiger.
Yes, it will be carried to your next body.
So it will transfer in all other body, whatever he gets.
Yes.
Okay.
Your subtle body gets transferred. That is what carries your soul and in the next body. But you will not have the memory of it, but you will have the impressions. So according to that desires, this body will automatically start functioning.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other question? Katie, are you clear with the concepts now?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay. So Nabya, are your questions answered? Because from the next session, we'll be seeing different ways in which you can actually purify your mind. So now that we understand the concepts, we will say what Krishna says, how to calm your mind. We understand what all troubles the mind can cause. We understand what is mind, what is intelligence, what is ego, what is consciousness. Right now, we will see about stabilizing. How do we calm our mind and how do we purify? So, we will see all of that from the next session. We will take appropriate shlokas and then we will discuss all of them. So, this is the foundation class. So, any questions you have from the foundation?
I think I have one more question.
Yes.
Suppose if we are doing bhakti for 70, 80 years
Mm.
age, so we are doing for long period of time, and suddenly we will die. And if we don't remember Krishna at the time of death, so what will happen? We will still we have to still go to the 8.4 million life like birth and death cycle, or
Mm.
we will get the human body after that.
So this is a very, very good question. So Krishna says this in the Vishnu Purana or in the Garuda Purana. Okay, if you are practicing bhakti sincerely from your heart, for whatsoever reason, at the time of death, if you're not able to remember Krishna due to your bodily conditions, then he will personally come and he will take you back to the spiritual world. So
And
this
if he also don't remember, then what will happen?
is God. How will he not remember? Krishna is God, right? So he controls everything. He creates his world. He is sitting in everybody's heart as Paramatma. So he will
So
definitely remember how
we
much
have
effort
to
we have
trust
put.
him.
Yeah. So Sri Bhagavad Gita, Shloka 15.15, where Krishna says, I am existing in everybody's heart. And from me comes remembrance, knowledge, or forgetfulness. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. That's what he says. I exist in everybody's heart. So he is existing in your heart as Paramatma. So if you have made efforts to reach him genuinely, then he will definitely remember. He's not like humans. When he's able to sit in everybody's heart, which means he'll remember he knows what's running in your mind. He knows what you're whispering in your heart. He knows everything. That's why we say God is omnipotent, which means he's present everywhere. It's just that we don't have the right consciousness to see. Like, say, for example, in TV, so many channels are there, right? I keep giving this example. So we take a remote and tune to a particular channel. Similarly, once you purify your mind, you can tune your consciousness also in a certain way. That's the science which Krishna is teaching Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna didn't want
And
to fight, he didn't want to kill so
okay.
many people. Krishna just tuned his consciousness according to the human form of life. Arjuna was confused with his mind, sentiments.
And what is the chance that some people are getting birth like in Vaishnava family?
Yes.
In what condition is that?
So in your previous life, you would have done so much. Say, for example, right, spirituality is like a ladder. There might be 100 steps. So you would have climbed 95 steps. You would have done so much of bhakti. But still, somewhere you might have fallen down. Somewhere you might have committed some offense. So that is why then Krishna will make your life easy. He'll put you in a family where you can actually immediately start having influence of people around you, which is positive influence, positive impressions. So you start creating positive impressions. That is why. So it's like a ladder. Anything you do spiritually to grow in your life, that will not go waste. Spiritual credits will keep accumulating. So if you accumulate, if you've done 90% of the job in this life, then in next life you'll start from 90. You'll not start from zero. But now materially, if you lose any wealth, you'll have to again start earning everything from zero, right? But spirituality is not like that. So you will, if you do until 85, 90%, then you'll start from 90% in your next life. That's why any mantra meditation is like afterlife insurance.
Um, in temple, like, I just talked to one Mataji about Bhagavad.
Mm-hmm.
He's from India. Yeah, and I was like, oh, he's such a spiritual guy, like since childhood, everything. Like he doesn't know how to pronounce the word even properly,
Mm.
but he is teaching everyone the concept of
Mm.
Bhagavad Gita. And then she was telling me like she might have accumulated, like might have done so much spirituality in his previous life. That's why God has given
Yeah,
birth in the devotees family, like very devoted family, and he's starting
very
from
true.
here.
That's very, very true.
Mm.
So even some people, right, like they might hold some strong impression, but they would have done one good thing to one pure devotee. Okay, one good seva they would have done. And for that, they will take birth in Vaishnava families. But if you see, they will not be following anything in bhakti. What they are doing from morning to evening will be nonsense. They'll be eating meat, they will be drinking, they will be smoking. But how they are born in Vaishnava families? Because somewhere they would have served some devotee who actually loves Krishna. That is why we say come to temple and do services which will actually help you in spiritual growth, right? So when you do services, when you actually help people who actually love Krishna, then Krishna will come and sit inside your heart automatically. Then you will start seeing good things in everybody. You will start seeing only good in everything around you. Then Krishna will come and he will sit inside your heart. While meditating, that is what we say, Krishna, please come and be with me. So he will come and sit in your heart. Then when you read Gita, you will understand even more. So everything will be revealed to you. So I can help you only for, I can only give you some hand to pull you up. But end of the day, it's your effort and your willingness to understand this philosophy, to understand the science, that will help in your growth. I can only be like an, kind of a support, end of the day. So that ABCDE philosophy, right? First is association, mingling with like-minded people. Number 2 is book reading, reading Bhagavad Gita. C is for chanting. D is for service, doing devotional service by going to the temple or doing pujas or making donations. And E is eating sattvic food. Okay, eating prasadam. So this is the recipe. This is the recipe for success. This is the recipe to cultivate that love, to open up your heart for Krishna. If you mix that well, automatically your dish will be well, you will find it very, very tasty. Or if you don't mix it well and if you just read Gita, it is as good as reading the recipe from a cookbook and not doing anything. So will you get the taste? No. So I can simply read all 100 dishes in cookbook, but unless until I go put the effort and buy the ingredients and come and cook in my house, I will not get the taste. Similarly, and you have to put all the efforts and Krishna will come and sit in your heart. Make sense? Yeah?
And also, I just want to know what's the scientific reason behind that. Like whenever we go to temple,
Hmm. That
and then
you feel good.
very,
Yeah.
very happy, very happy.
Yes, yes, I'll tell you. So, temple is a place of positive vibration. So, the natural state of the soul is to love Krishna. That's why whenever you go to temple, any temple, you will feel that calmness. What is the meaning of mandir? Temple means mandir, right? Man means mind. Now, the
Mm.
entire problem is with our mind. Man means mind. Dhira means steady. So when you go to mandir, your mind becomes steady. You will be more connected to your soul. Your soul starts feeling the happiness because we are part and parcel of Krishna. So when we go to temple, we are actually very close to Krishna. Simple. So you're automatically happy.
Mm.
Yeah. So eventually, if your chanting and reading is really strong, even whatever you're feeling when you actually go to temple, right? You will feel that just by chanting one bead. That comes with practice. Okay, so that is why we say practice makes you perfect. So you come to temple, you recharge, then you go, and whenever you're discharged, you come back to temple and recharge. Simple philosophy. Right? See, we all, and the consciousness is the energy of the soul, right? So we have to purify we have to charge, right? Your mobile phone you're charging every day, right? So how are you recharging? By coming to temple, by chanting, by reading. That is how your consciousness is recharged spiritually. So if you're not spiritually recharging, and if you again do all the materialistic activities, then somewhere you will think that, oh, this life is also not bad. Maybe this is happiness. You start identifying yourself with that particular object of happiness, with that relationship, or with that house, or with that money, and you will forget the actual soul.
Yeah, but it doesn't last long.
It won't last long.
Yeah,
Eventually, you'll come back. You'll be running
yeah.
like that mouse in that particular cage, thinking, "Oh, where is bed? Where is bed?" Even if the cage is open, yeah,
Mm.
it won't last long because the natural state of the soul, even at once you utter Krishna's name or come to temple, you will feel that bliss, and then eventually you will come back for more. So
Mm.
chanting, why the reason why we start with chanting is the key to success. And this particular mantra, there are many mantras, but Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is what is mentioned to be the most easiest process from the Kali Sandarana Upanishad. Every mantra is like Wi-Fi with password, but this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is Wi-Fi without password. So of course, in the other mantras also you will get the bliss, but there are certain rules and regulations. It comes with obligation. But Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you can keep chanting anywhere. There are no restrictions at all. With our current, contamination in our mind and with all our responsibilities around us, we need some easy process. That is what Srila Prabhupada has given us in the form of ISKCON. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Guruji, I have to ask you something.
Yeah.
So, I go through different phases in my life where sometimes I'm so like into God, like I want to do puja at home, like in the morning, in the evening, and there comes a phase where like I like don't like in my mind I never think about like doing puja or anything, and sometimes it like how do I say it? I was so interested in like gods and all the spiritual things that I bought Bhagavad Gita from Amazon and started reading by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm to a point like where I don't want to read that book anymore. Like I don't want to God. I don't want to like do that. But like I am not into that book anymore. Like I do want to finish that book. I do want to learn the knowledge, like and understand what the book says and implement that in my life. But I'm at this point. I'm like I don't want to like. It's not like I don't want to do puja at my home, but I'm more drawn into temples and so, like rather than like doing puja and at home like in the morning and in the afternoon. Like what is like what causes like what is like what do you think like that's the what maybe the cause for that phase like sometimes I'm so into God and the spirit things like I love doing puja like
Yeah,
in the in the
I get
afternoon,
your
yeah, and
So
some
it's like basically your soul's natural state is to love Krishna. Okay,
yeah.
that love is always there. You just need to water it and activate it. Now, because of this body and mind, your impressions are so strong. Your body and mind is convincing you that it is not required. Okay, and usually this happens because you might have acquired a very, very strong impression from somebody else due to bad association in this life or previous life. Okay, so one way of purifying that is having the right association with people. So the moment you start associating with people who are practicing Krishna consciousness, or the moment you come to temple and start seeing people how successful they are by practicing Krishna consciousness, then your faith will become strong. So right now you have faith, but your faith is very, very weak. So the moment you take up some practice of chanting, automatically that will purify your consciousness. Then that interest will come back. Now, say for example, if you want to watch any good, interesting, nice movies, you will find people who has taste for watching movies or taste for recommending good movies or recommending good restaurants or recommending good food, right? Similarly, even if you want that particular interest back, you will have to roam with people who have that particular interest. Very simple. Yeah,
Okay. Yep.
makes sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, depending on, say, you bring a hot substance and a cold substance. If it is
Mhm.
hot, and when you bring the cold substance, eventually somewhere it will balance out, right? So maybe the people whomever you're living with is not that very associated spiritually. They are not connected spiritually. So that's
Mhm.
what Srila Prabhupada says. If you want to practice spirituality, you need to live in a community with spiritual people. That is one reason I live close by to the temple. A lot of devotees live close by to the temple. So whenever I feel low, I just quickly go up to the temple. And as Nabya says, yes, I also start feeling good. It's very easy for me, 5 minutes walk.
Like, well, yeah, like I just feel so happy. And like every time when there's bhajan going on,
Hmm.
happy, like I'll start like dancing inside, like in my heart, dancing in
Yes.
those in that music, like yeah.
Hmm. So that's what Prabhupada says. Nobody comes to Krishna or ISKCON by accident. You might have done something really, 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 really good in your previous life. So Krishna will come and take you, or he will put you in touch with the devotee, right? That's what I keep repeating in so many previous calls also. Like, now say whatever you said, right, Jasmine? Uh, say for the examples, you just go and see how many people are there in the WhatsApp group and how many are actually joining this particular study.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's all people will be. Again, people have to pull time on Saturdays. Some
Mhm.
people may not be able to pull time on Saturdays. And some people will come one week and next week, I think I want to enjoy with friends and they'll go. So this is Krishna's test, right? Krishna will squeeze your heart. He will put you through in so much pain. But ultimately, if you want that love, what's the price some people have to pay for that love of Krishna? Tears. So how much ever Krishna squeezes your heart should be like a sponge, right? You absorb and you give out the same thing. You
Mhm.
absorb love. When Krishna put you through difficulties, he squeezes it to check, okay, what have you absorbed? Whether it's love or hatred. When life puts you in a difficult situation, if you're getting angry, then what you have absorbed is not love, it's hatred, right? So you'll have to be a sponge.
Right.
So
And
that,
also,
yes.
sorry. Also, I just want to know, like some people get, like some people is getting dead by accident, like in car accident or something like that.
Hmm.
So, what's the philosophy behind that? Like they just come to the earth for
Hmm.
just that period of time.
Yes. So the moment you take birth in this life, which means you have a particular quota of breath. That's what our scriptures say. So the amount of lifespan, the amount of years you live depends on the amount of times you breathe. So if your quota of breath is over for this particular lifetime, which means you might have purified your karma, then automatically your lifespan will be over. The arrangements will be made by Krishna. That's why people, whenever they get angry, they actually breathe fast. Hypertension, the lifespan reduces. And but at the
Mhm.
same time, athletes will live a healthy life, but they run and they, breathe really, really fast. So what Prabhupada says for that is then if they are actually conserving their breath and breathe slowly, then they might even live more longer. So say, for example, how yogis, there are yogis who have lived 100 years, 120 years because they are able to regulate their prana. They're able to control their breath, right? That's what a lot of people do. Buddhist people do a lot of meditation. A lot of people just do nadi shuddhi, pranayama, and everything, right? So pranayama means is to control the breath in your body. So when you actually calm down your mind, when you actually purify, then automatically you will start breathing in a regulated way. Okay, so when somebody is, having an untimely death or something, which means maybe they have done something in their previous life and they had to go through that particular pain.
I just want to share the story. It's like there was a girl in our country. It happened like
Mhm.
she was going for her marriage. Like early morning, she got up and she went. Like her brother was driving the car. She's
Mm,
supposed to sit in the front seat. If she would have sit in the front seat, not like could have like she could have survived, but because she sat in the back seat and the car collapsed and like the left side or right side, I don't know, like whatever side she was, it hurt the most and like she had a spot there.
mm. So there are a lot of stories, right, in Ramayana or Mahabharata. So where, there'll be one very, very senior Rishi, okay, very, very elevated Rishi. So he'll be like practicing bhakti for so long and he'll be like very, very senior. And then all of a sudden he will have one sort of very, very painful experience. Then he will be so elevated in consciousness that when he's about to die or when he's about to experience that, he goes into meditation and he asks Yamaraj, why am I going through this? I've been living my life perfectly. I've been meditating on Vishnu or Krishna throughout my life. Why I have to go through this particular experience? Why I have to go through this particular pain during my death? Then he says, Yamadharmaraja says, you you caused a harm or the similar pain to one particular insect when you were 10 years old. At that point in time, then the Rishi asked, 10 years? I'm so small. How will I know that? And that is why this is one story comes in one Puran, and that is why until 14 years of age, we don't accumulate any karma. So Krishna's equation will never go wrong. So whatever you experience is actually whatever karma you have accumulated. It will never be too much, too high, or it'll never be too less.
How about we are killing cockroaches?
Hmm?
If we won't kill, they're gonna eat all the food and make everything. Like we are killing the cockroaches.
Yes, that is why there are certain things, even you're killing plants when eating. Leave cockroaches. Every day, plants have consciousness. We saw this in introduction to Bhagavad Gita courses, right? You
Mm,
are killing plants. You are technically accumulating karma. But how are you purifying that is the question.
mm,
Because you're offering that food before eating. So we all our activities, the moment we are talking now, you know how many germs we are breathing in and we are killing it while inhaling and exhaling? So we purify that by chanting, by offering prasadam before eating, by offering milk, going to temple or making small, small donations. All this increases your spiritual credit. And we try to
mm.
keep the negative karmic effect as low as possible.
I just
The
want
cockroaches are
wondering,
the food which you are going to prepare for Krishna, then
mm,
you have to make a safe place for Krishna, right? So
mm,
what some people do, devotees, they just capture the cockroach in hand and they just go put outside. But if you're afraid of cockroaches, then what we can do, right?
mm,
You don't have to
yeah,
actually be afraid of cockroach. That's again a mental mind thing. You'll have to train your mind. But some
yeah,
people they say Hare Krishna and they spray on the cockroach. Maybe the cockroach will get liberated. You don't know because the last thing that it is hearing is Krishna's name. right? But don't think all of that too much, but make sure that whatever bhakti you're doing, right, that will actually try to create good effects for you.
Mm. Also, like some people, like always thinking bad of others and trying to get others' property and money. I've seen in my life. They're trying to get and they're trying to manipulate other people and use other people things.
Mm,
Like by playing up their minds, but then they are like praying to God all the time, like putting
mm,
the tilak on and like trying to hold the ear and sit up and down and saying the God sorry every day, and then
mm,
every day like manipulating the people and trying to
mm.
like get others people wealth, land, and other thing, which is like not good.
Not good, that is right, but they are also trying and they are also conditioned, right? They are also contaminated. But if they are actually, doing nonsense in the morning and then evening coming and praying, thinking that all the nonsense will be purified, actually in Vishnu Purana, there is a statement saying that Vishnu will be more angry if you do that. That's basically
Yeah, and
committing offenses.
I'm thinking like, oh my God, they are like manipulating God as well.
No, they can't. They are
They're like,
just
oh,
making a
I
fool
can
of
sit
them.
down and say I'm sorry, and then like doing
They're
same
just
thing
making a fool of
intentionally
them.
again and
That's
again.
the correct.
Sorry.
They're just making a fool of. We don't have to go and tell them you do this, you do that. Krishna has given us free will to do whatever we want in this world. The
Hmm.
fact that we are here because we didn't want to be with Krishna, and Krishna fulfilled our desires. So when Krishna is sitting in everybody's heart as Paramatma, so why if they want to do bad, maybe that is their desire. They will accumulate karma and accordingly they will get the next birth. We don't have to go and correct them. There is government, there is law, and anyway there is law of God. They will get their karma either in this life or next life for
Yeah,
everything.
and also I have seen like whether they have accumulated whatever, never got happy in their life.
Hmm? Yeah.
Never, and never that wealth they can accumulate like for long time, or they can have luxurious life. No.
So you will find all types of people. Inside temple also you will find all types of people because temple is like a hospital and
Mm.
this mantra is like a medicine. So for some people they'll be taking the medicine properly at proper course at proper time every day in proper dosage. Some people they might skip today. Some people they'll take medicine only once a week. Depends. So accordingly their mind will function. Accordingly their consciousness will be purified. But yeah, all type of people exist. We'll have to accept the fact that everybody is suffering. So the moment you practice, the fact that you're able to find fault in others is because you have it in yourself. So the moment you actually practice for 10 years, 20 years, your consciousness is purified, you'll be able to see only good in everything. I also see so many people in temple who will come, who will chant Hare Krishna in the morning and evening they'll go to pub and drink beer or smoke a cigarette coming out of the temple. I know people are doing that. But it's not our position to judge, everybody is trying. The fact that they are uttering Krishna's name or coming to the temple, which means Krishna is directly there in their life, Krishna is guiding. So we'll just have to try to not mingle with them so that we don't get contaminated.
Mm.
Point. That way we'll have to draw a boundary.
Mm.
That's what we call as association. So when we say association, so yeah, those type of people are there. We can just feel sorry for them, but they are not our responsibility. Okay, they are Krishna's responsibility. Krishna is
It's
there and they are
hard
not.
if it's your relatives, like if it's
That, that,
someone's
that's the
relatives. And
attachment. That's the attachment you have to who you actually are. You don't
mm,
identify yourself with that particular relative. You are an individual jiva, and in this birth, Krishna has given you different jivas and establishing a relationship for you to fulfill your desire. So you feel sorry for them. You don't be angry. So you have to. It's a mental thing. So mentally renouncing doesn't mean you hate them or you're ignoring them. You feel sorry for them and you pray to Krishna for them. That's it. Ultimately, you can't control their mind. You are
mm,
responsible only for your mind.
mm,
They are responsible for their mind. If they come and ask you, then you can give suggestions, right? But end of the day, you can't control. So when you are getting disturbed by all of that, what is the point? You are just destroying your bhakti and your consciousness. Ultimately, you are identifying yourself with that particular relation. You are forgetting that you are part and parcel of Krishna, the ultimate purpose of life. The ultimate purpose of life is not to be friends with that particular person. That will last only for until you die, or until that person dies, or until you die. After that, what happens? You will take somebody, he'll take somebody. So, what you should be focused on? So, that is your mind distracting you. Yeah, makes sense?
Yeah. Mm.
So this will come by practice, right? Initially, we'll get frustrated, we'll start hating people, but eventually, we'll get the fact that the reason I'm making all these sessions too technical is because you need to understand everybody is an individual person with an individual mind, and Krishna is sitting as Paramatma in everybody's heart. So nobody is evil. Just because their mind and their impressions are so strong, they're behaving in such a way. That is why we have government to protect, we have law to protect, and we come to a better country so that life becomes easy for us to practice bhakti, not easy for make money. Now, I am sitting here and leaving India and coming and sitting here is because life is easy here. I can focus on exactly what I want to do. Right? Making money is a lot easier than in India. And I can settle down and at the same time I can practice bhakti more freely. In India, relatives will start judging, people will start judging at a very young age why you're doing this. No, you should not practice spirituality at a very young age. All these things people will start saying, right? And even the work culture is very, very tiring in India. Here it's very balanced. After 5 o'clock, they don't disturb you. It's 9 to 5 job. Unless you have only the shift timings, they disturb you. But in India, simply they'll call you after 9 o'clock saying this meeting is there, can you attend? I am dealing with less nonsense here, but not
Mm.
there everywhere. If I go to any government office, unless and until I pay money, nothing will happen. Country is so corrupt. Here also corruption is there, but it is at a very high level. Our day-to-day life is not getting affected. I don't get clean air to breathe. I don't get proper roads. I don't get fresh water to drink. So here I'm getting all of that. But now if I realize now I've have so much of practice of bhakti. Now wherever I go, I know what is my purpose. So I can ignore all of that. So why did I come to Australia? At that point of time, my desires were something else. Anyway, even I also got purified. That is the actual truth. Right? So everybody's thinking or thought process, it eventually will get purified at some point in time. Now, if you leave me here or there, it doesn't matter. Right? End of the day. End of the day, you know your purpose, but you will have to be situated very, very steady in your consciousness. Right? And only it comes by practice. The more you're connected to Krishna, the more you're able to accept that if this is happening in my life, that is because of Krishna. That is what is important. How much you can trust Krishna. Okay? That comes by practice. So you can trust your mom because you have spent so many years with your mom. You know your mom enough. Now you have to know Krishna enough. How will you know Krishna? By reading Bhagavad Gita, by what he's talking to Arjuna, you will understand Krishna. You will understand Krishna's heart. Then Prabhupada has given a book called as Krishna book. There are so many stories about Krishna in that book. Only stories. So the more you get to know about that person, only then you'll be able to trust that person. Now, like the how you trust your parents, will you be able to trust anybody like that? No, not possible. That is because you know your parents so much. That is, it's very, very simple. The fact that Krishna is also a person, the moment you start knowing more, how will you know? By attending classes, by reading books, by listening to other devotees, some spiritual things, or by listening more spiritual lectures on YouTube, some stories. Then you get to know more about Krishna. What Krishna did during Mahabharata, what he did in Vrindavan. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, if you go to vedabase.io, is given us so much books to know more about Krishna. The moment you go know more and more, then you'll be able to love. Without knowing that person, how can you love? Be it father or mother or your husband or wife, whatever. Without knowing that person, you can't love. Simple. Only basic thing we need to understand is Krishna is also a person. That's it. It's a man to man. We know how to deal with people, right? So to know Krishna, listen to lectures, read books, attend classes. Simple. But before that, you need to have a solid foundation of what is life, who we are, how are we connected. That if you're having a very solid foundation, then tomorrow, whatever anybody says, you will not be disturbed. So now if I go take my Japa bag and go in India during my college friends or school friends, they'll be starting like, oh, this guy has become a saint. Right. So now I won't be disturbed. But when 2021, when I used to be very, very cautious to put this, I'll be living in Blacktown, put this like this and walk, I'll be finding like so shameful. Now I don't care. Because at that point in time, my faith was also not strong. People were saying you chant, you will become more happy. And I started chanting. But when I go home, I used to think, oh, what this person will think, what that person will say, oh, why should I walk in public by wearing this? Now, slowly, slowly, when your faith increases, when you get to know Krishna more, then Krishna will start giving you that happiness from within. He is there as Paramatma, right? So then now I don't have to be dependent on anybody else or anything else for happiness. Krishna has given me everything. So why should I care about what others think?
Even in here, I have realized like everyone respect their other's culture and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
spirituality here, everything.
Yes.
So that's when I'm thinking it's here easier than the.
And you can practice more freely here, spirituality. In other places,
Mm,
people will start judging,
mm.
and practice a lot more easily and a lot more freely here.
But nowadays, like I don't care. I just put everything on social media and keep watching my post,
But keep reading,
like
keep
about the
reading.
mala and the things, everything.
Tomorrow, all of a sudden, if your faith is not strong, anybody can come and convince you that God is not there also.
Yes, one
I'll tell
doctor
you,
of
if
my
I know
mom told
somebody who
me.
is not very, very clear in philosophy, if they're little unsure about God, I can actually make them an atheist also. I can prove scientifically that God is not there also, and they will be convinced also. But only if you read Bhagavad, if that person has not read Bhagavad Gita, I can easily convince that person there is nothing. Life is meant to enjoy. There is no God, nothing. You go enjoy. It'll be, you can very easily be confused. That's why I keep always my classes a bit technical, so that we should never forget the philosophy. Else, it is
Mm.
like building a castle on top of water or sand. You should build a castle on top of rock. So without philosophy, it is very, very hard, especially in a Western country, in a foreign country where, I'm going for my citizenship ceremony. I'm standing in the name of God. Okay, that is the first row. I say that and we take the oath and we get the passport, citizenship. Now there are 10 people who believe in God, and I'm turning back. There are 20 people who don't believe in God. And out of the 20 people, 15 people are Indians. Are people like Indians or Nepalese or people like that from East, same old cultural background. That is how the world has made people into. So we should, tomorrow, if anybody says there is no God, you should be able to explain. Okay, why do you think there is no God? Why don't you read this book and then come to a conclusion?
Yeah, one doctor from like my country asked me, and then I said like, read the power of subconscious. Yeah, the power of
Mm.
subconscious book by Joseph Murphy and Bhagavad Gita, and then you will come to know
Yeah.
how prayer works. Actually, not the like is that working or not. It's not the question. You will know how it's working, and you will get all the answer.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You should be, so the more you practice, you'll be able to tell them, okay, why do you think you'll be able to carry out that conversation? Now, if I'm in your position, like, okay, what makes you think that there is no God? What do you know about God first? So now I'll be
Mm.
able to have that conversation because Prabhupada has given all of that in his books. So the moment you
Mm.
read Prabhupada's books every day, you will learn that art of talking to others. It comes naturally.
And also, I've realized like they celebrated all the festival, right? And then they saying not there is no God. Even I was saying before,
Mm.
but they're celebrating all the festival. Like if you can't trust, then why you are celebrating the festival? So it's in your some part, like in the corner of your heart, like there might be some person it's saying there is a God. That's when you are praying, yeah,
So
joining your
everybody,
hands
Krishna
praying,
says
and
this in
then
the Gita, right? Krishna answers this in the Gita. So every religion is the pathway to same God. So we don't have to go and tell Christians that this is right, or we don't have to go and tell Muslims that this is right. So every religion is the pathway to same God. So we are climbing, and if you are following Krishna consciousness, which means we are at 90 steps in the spiritual ladder, which is of 100 steps. Okay, now we have reached until 90 steps. Now every other religion has reached certain number of steps as per their understanding. So Krishna says, if you want to understand me without giving up meat eating, or without giving up interest for multiple women, then okay, here is a new religion for you. You follow this religion, you follow this process, then you will get a better human form of life in your next birth, where you can worship me a bit more closer. That's the understanding. Okay, so every religion is to be equally respected, and they are following that dharma. So maybe if they are following Christianity or Islam properly, maybe they will get a better form of life in the next birth, a Hindu family. But half of them, they don't believe in reincarnation. But end of the day, that is not our problem. The philosophy, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, if they are following that dharma clearly, what Jesus has given, what Allah, Prophet Muhammad has given, if they are following that clearly, then they will get a better form of birth, where they will have a more better understanding of who is God. They'll take birth in accordingly in such a family.
Mm.
Yeah, that you should come to this level of understanding. So you will get this only when you read Bhagavad Gita every single day. Prabhupada has given all the details in his purpose. So when you read Bhagavad Gita cover to cover, you will get all this knowledge.
Even the Muslims are reading Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Even in here, like the foreigners are reading. And also, I have seen like in many success people life story,
I
and
know.
they are saying that they people getting success only if there is some people getting wealthy. But whenever people getting success means it's the mixture of wealth and plus spirituality, humanity, everything comes in there.
Yes, yes.
So
We have more knowledge, we have more philosophy. Because a
mm,
lot of Muslims, they have a lot of questions which are unanswered in their scriptures. And even in Christianity, not all the questions are answered. That's why a lot of people are leaving their religion and saying that there is no God, because that is easy, because their religion is not answering the questions, and they are tired because there is, even in ISKCON, not everybody can give you in-depth answers. There are only certain people who can give you all answers. There are people who have come here and gone without answers also. Unless you cultivate the habit of reading books, it's very, very hard.
mm,
Okay, so books are the basis. That's what Prabhupada says. Tomorrow, say for example, right, like now Kangana is in the Northern Territory, right? You don't have any association. So
I
books
don't
are,
have anything here. No devotees, no temple, nothing.
yeah, so books, but you have books. That's what Srila Prabhupada has left us. See an example. So when,
we can be a friend and talk with each other so that we can
Yeah.
like share the ideas and like move develop in our mind about
but at the
reading
same
and
time, while reading Prabhupada's books, you cultivate a relationship with Prabhupada. Right? So each and every, there are 722 verses, there are purports, right? Each and every purport is like a personal letter that Prabhupada is writing to you to explain. Prabhupada says, I am living in my books, I will never die. So you should have that much amount of faith in the Acharya. That is the association he's giving us. The books is what he has left for all of this generation. I read Bhagavad Gita cover to cover, and that changed my life. So I felt as if Prabhupada is actually talking to me, he's advising me. So if you cultivate that faith, you will never feel alone. You can live with just his books. Lot many people all over the world are just living with his books. And anyways, you can always, as Nabia said, you can always chat with us, or you can attend more classes like this if you're free. Okay, let us know. All right.
Prabhuji, I have one thing to say.
Yes.
Like
Hmm.
last week, I have seen one dream while sleeping, and
Hmm.
I saw one person. He was standing in front of me. He was wearing the monk dress, but I couldn't see his face. Only the body I can see. I don't know what was that.
Keep chanting. Next time you'll see the face.
Yeah,
I
I was so
want to
scared.
see. Oh my god.
I don't know
Keep
what.
chanting. The more you chant, the more clarity you get. Sometimes,
Okay.
a lot of people, devotees, have said that, oh, Krishna came in my dreams, Radha Gopinath came in my dreams and helped me with my problems. So, if your consciousness is pure, all those spiritual dreams you can actually pay attention. It'll actually be Krishna coming and giving you some, help. He won't give
I
solutions
think he
to
was
problems.
devotee.
He'll make it easier. Yeah. It might be, you don't know. Maybe it's Prabhupada because you're alone.
Maybe.
For me, Prabhupada has come in my dreams so many times. When I was living in Blacktown, and all of a sudden one day Prabhupada came and said, "Come get into my car." Because I was so scared that people around me are all like drinking, doing drugs every day. And Prabhupada said, "Why are you worrying? Come, you read my books, you come closer to the temple, you get into the car." Then I moved closer to the temple. So that is all depending on how much faith you have. So a lot of people, these dreams are actually true. But you can't interpret it correctly unless you chant 16 rounds a day and you have an acharya, you're initiated, you have taken diksha from an acharya. So it is not recommended to interpret.
And Prabhuji, some people say that actual God is your parents. You have to love them. You have to respect them.
Yeah,
You have
that's
to have the
right.
pictures like that. So what will you say in this topic?
So that is one of the duties, right? So the fact that they have given us this particular form of life, your father and mother are equally responsible. So I have certain set of responsibilities towards your parents, towards your society, because if you're living in a country, you'll have to follow the rules of Australia, you'll have to pay the taxes. So that particular dharma is there, right? So whatever is there in your capacity, you can always do. Even Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, even Shastra says, Mata Pita Guru Devam, right? So taking care of your parents is actually a proper responsibility. But some parents will expect money, their consciousness might not be pure. So all of that you can always draw healthy boundaries. When we did the retreat, one lady came and said that if parent doesn't like me chanting, she was a Christian. So what will you say? Get out of the house? No. We say, okay, don't chant. Why you want to chant in front of your parents? You say that you're going out for a walk and you chant, or you go inside your room and you chant. No parents can say that, okay, don't go for a walk. You put your japa bag inside your handbag and you go for a walk and you sit in a park and chant. Don't agitate your parents.
We might have convinced the parent as well, like chanting is, yeah, but like calling the Krishna, but also I have read meditation book and it's a type of meditation.
Mm.
So like, and she can explain to the parents like a meditation
Again,
having
that's the
this
point.
benefit in the Google, and it's a type of meditation. I'm doing it.
No,
It's
sometimes
scientifically
you can be
proven.
old, you can't change people. For example, right, like they'll be 60 years and they'll be carrying so heavy impressions. They have seen the world 40 years before you. So they might have acquired so many impressions. So you don't have to waste your energy there. As I said,
Mm.
right, our work is to make sure we practice bhakti properly. Unless and until you take the responsibility of like sitting and joining the temple or want to preach, where you want to teach people, you take that position and then you teach. Else, first practice yourself, because it's too hard now. If I say something to my parents, my mom or dad, it's very hard to change because their upbringing is from 1950s or 60s, right? You don't know what I said, right? The impressions are from your upbringing, from what books you read, movies, upbringing, and association. So these are where the impressions come from. And their upbringing was like very old, 40, 50 years back. So what type of impressions their upbringing has created, you can't erase it off overnight just by reading Google and explaining logic. You get the point?
My one is easy. Yeah, I asked my mom to listen
But
to
if you are
Bhagavad
from an
Gita from
Indian
YouTube,
family,
and she's like,
from a Hindu
okay,
family, yeah, they will be happy. But she's from a Christian family. For
that's
some
hard.
people it
Yeah.
might work, for some people it might not work.
Mm.
Cool. So anyways, we'll stop here today. All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
See, next week we'll go more deeper into shlokas. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much for the session.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.